begin. So how are you?
I a little bit like a little bit and not yeah, antsy. I feel antsy, um a little like overwhelmed because I'm like doing this comedy festival, but there's like a lot of shows, but it is kind of like a little bit overwhelming. Like I woke up overwhelmed and like a bit heavy. Um Heavier than I normally do when I wake up. So, but even I don't know, yeah, that's how I feel. You want to be the best, and sometimes that consumes you and it takes away the actual enjoyment of stand up. For me personally, it's like I would have these things where if I performed and it wasn't that good, I'd be super depressed. Like in my head, I'd be like, "Oh, you ain't shit. You're like the worst comedian." Like that would be the narrative all the time. I'd go to bed and even like I'm like, "You ain't shit." I'm like, "How would you do that?" It would just kind of take over the joy of what it was that I started doing. Because you just go on stage and you want to make people laugh. It shouldn't be like this thing where it turns into like, I got to be better than this person. I got to be the best. So it's like getting your mind, um, training your mind to like be okay with not destroying all the time or getting the most laughs out of anyone. They don't tell you when you start stand up about the mental health that is with stand up, and why a lot of stand up comedians, I think, maybe actors as well, whether they take their own life or like they run the drugs or they drink a lot, is because it's like that part that no one knows about. It's like, oh, this person goes on stage and does 7 or 45 minutes and people enjoy them, but then they leave and they're sitting in a hotel room or wherever they're at and they're left with their mental health, which is no one. I even felt heavy even saying that, because it's just like I remember times where it was just like so noisy in my head where it was just I just couldn't just walk away and appreciate a good set. I'd be like, oh, I could have done this better. I could do this better. I'm like, I said this to this audience member. The booker doesn't like me. The person I'm dating thinks I suck. My friends think I suck. So it's like it just no one. I mean, if I would have went back now and told myself just to be kinder to myself in this journey, I think it would have helped me out a lot. Like I had buck teeth, I had warts on my eyes, I had curly ass hair, goofy glasses, I couldn't get girls, I guess. And I started, I think, around that time talking to myself in a negative way, like all the time. I'd be like, "You're worthless. And people will tell you be like, "Oh, you should pay that no mind." But I mean, it's different when you're. It's different when other people are also being like, "Oh, you're rejecting you." Do you know what I mean? Or telling you like, "Oh, you ain't good looking," or "You're not smart enough." So it's just harder. So that's where I started talking to myself in a super negative way until maybe about 4 years ago. So I'm 42, and I read this book, and I was like, after I finished, it was about talking to yourself in a better way. I was like, oh, I was like so mean to myself for so long. You want to, like you're in a relationship with someone and you want to be like, not that they need you to be strong all the time, but I mean, they don't want you to be like so down on yourself or miserable or hate yourself or anything like that. So you kind of like hide it for a while. You kind of hide who you are for a while because, when people, and they want you to be vulnerable, but I feel if you're like to an extent further, like you get past this, you go to this, I feel like true vulnerability, if you were like, yo, I'm gonna be super real with you, and you start to really um, explain your why you hate yourself or your pains or how depressed you are. I don't think it's attractive. It's like think people are like, it's like when someone's like, "Hey, how's your day?" And then you really tell them how your day is, and they're like, "I didn't want to know any of that." I think it would have been better if you just said, I'm not feeling good." So I feel sometimes I would just hide that because I was like, I don't want that person to leave. It's like when you see a doctor and they're like, "Have you ever thought about harming yourself?" It just gets weird in the room. Not that it should feel like normalized, but I mean, I think that reaction makes people who have those thoughts not want to say anything, because it's like, "Oh, you're judging me. You're judging me even on my weakest thoughts here. So I think if it's dealt more in a delicate way, I think people will open up more about things like that, or even just about your feelings or about any type of vulnerability. So I really wanted to talk about this and get it out because I think it's just like super important. I've lost like, a couple of close people too. I think like they held these in and they didn't get help, and then they ended up doing damage to themselves. And then you're just like, you hate you get mad. You're like, oh, I should have talked to them more. And then now they're not here anymore. They're gone. And then a lot of comedians I know, they do harm to themselves, and it's just a sad thing. I think people will just generally start talking about it like they would talk about getting a new iPhone, and it just wouldn't be as bad. And it'll just be open, and then you can talk about it. You can feel free talking about it. You can walk out of your house, be like, okay, I'm not going to fake it all day and hide this stupid pain. Or if someone asks me how my day is, I'm going to be like, oh, it's fine, but you're just dying inside. I think I think you just need to normalize it. So it's just not so far away. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's not real, this happy shit or whatever this is. It's just like, generally, it's like hard to find happiness or hard to find or to be happy, but it's like it's normal, I guess, to go and be like, oh, talk about how great your day is. But I mean, that goes down to like Instagram, Twitter, all this. It's all like, I'm only showing this fucking happiness here. And then and the only time I'm going to show something sad, it's when it's too late. So it's like, I think if you normalize it, it'll help. I hate like, just the worry, the constant worry. I don't ever feel like relieved. I don't feel like, at ease, because it's like anxiety, overthink this. What are they thinking? The guilt. It's just like, I try to explain it to friends and stuff. It's just so like, it just weighs heavy here. And it really, I don't want to be like that. And then people are like, you can fix it, but it's just like so hard. I just wish I was never, my mom has anxiety, and maybe she gave it to me. I just wish I never had it. I wish I had it like maybe like 10% instead of 80%, where it takes over a whole situation. And I hate that I normalize it. Like, I make it like I take it and use it in comedy, or I use it for humor, because it's like deep down, I just like wish I never had any of that shit. And it was like all these weird anxieties. I didn't know where they came from. I mean, I know where they came from. My mom has it too. And she would like make us wear plastic bags. And after we came from outside, we'd have to we'd have to wash and use plastic bags and stuff. But when you're a kid, you're like helpless. You can't go against your mom. It's like, you think they're taking care of you in the best possible way. You're like, how can my mom, put this stuff in me that maybe is going to fuck me up in the future? You're like 12, so we're conditioned, I guess. And it's just like, when I look back now, I was like, I felt like an alien. I was like, that's crazy, so I just, I wish she could get help, but she's like older now. I don't even know how. I can only imagine if I feel this type of pain, the amount of pain that she has and she hasn't dealt with. I love my mom more than, she knows it, she's like, I wouldn't even know what to do. Like, it's a crazy thing. Like, she's not around me. She doesn't live around me, but just her presence keeps like, there's a balance. I always think about that. I have a balance. Like, even if she texts me, have you eaten something? She keeps me on a balance. So I would not know what I would do if she wasn't here. I generally mean that. Like, I think I'd be off. Like, she grounds me in some other, like, there's stuff where I was frustrated with, but overall, she grounds me, because she's like, took care. She just like, there's not a love. Like, I don't know a love like that. Like, I don't know. I think like her love for us is like so crazy and self. I don't know. It's so that it just keeps me grounded. I thought like people's laughs were replacing the therapist, right? I was like, oh, they like me. These people like me. Or if I was trying to get on TV, I was like, this will help it. And that was like, for the longest time, the best solution. But it soon ran out. I was like, this isn't helping anymore. This is just making it worse. And I just wish I had like better ways of I truly wish I saw a therapist. I would have probably treated women better. I would have probably like learned how to like love people better. I wouldn't have learned how to be so closed off. There's probably like there's been women I've been with that probably, or even like, let on because I wasn't, they might have like, they might have had a true feeling towards me and I was just holding back because of my issues and not getting help. So I wish a lot of it was like I truly wish I just got help sooner. Comedy's like, I did stand up and I was like, this shit's worse than crack. I've never done crack, obviously, but I mean, it's like euphoric. It's just like so blissful. You can take a crowd that's like not moving emotionally, that has no connection with you at all, sometimes hates you, sometimes tells you to your face you ain't shit, and you can flip it into they love you and they're buying you a drink after is like the wildest thing. It's like such a crazy feeling, you know what I mean? And then you hear the laughs hit you. It's like, whoa, this is sick. And it's just like, and then you're addicted to it. And then when you finish performing, you're just high for like 7 hours. You're like, nothing can like touch me right now. So I think, yeah, that answers that other question where like that was enough for a while therapeutically to keep all those other stuff away. Yeah. Because I don't want to. I hear myself sometimes. I hear people talking to me sometimes when I fall back into those anxiety things. And it happened recently where they were talking to me and I was like crying inside. Like I was breaking inside. But when they were talking to me, I was like, I don't want to do this to them, but I don't want to do this to me anymore. And it was this thing where it switched in my brain. The next day I woke up, I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm not putting myself through this anymore. I'm not putting this person in front of me who I love. I can't do that to them. They don't deserve that shit. They didn't sign up for this at all. This is my shit. This is something I gotta I have to stand up and fight this. This isn't their fight. And I don't want to be like that for myself. So yeah, it's very optimistic. But I mean, I think I have a better grasp on my anxiety than I did years ago. So I feel a lot more happiness and a lot more. Yeah, like I want to be around for like a long time. I think before I would like play with the idea of like I was always scared. I'm always scared of death, but I mean back then it was like more somber. Now it's not as somber. I really like happy with the people around me, the person I'm with, and just like how the profession I'm doing is working out. So I do feel like that's why it's not a little bit weird talking about this now, but it's just like I do feel way happier than I have ever been.